Hi, my name is Olajide Olagunju, and I'm the author of the book How to Resolve a Conflict. And I'd like to share that book with you. That's the book. Uh, the book on your screen. And the book How to Resolve a Conflict um, is our guide, textbook for the lecture series you've just joined today. And the lecture series itself is titled How to Resolve a Conflict. How to Resolve a Conflict. This is lecture 38. So we'll read from the book a bit and then we'll have a discussion. We have gone through 9 steps in the 10-step mediation. We've been discussing the 10-step mediation for a while now, and we are at the last step, step 10, which is acceptance. And this happens when the options that the mediator has helped the parties to work out have been accepted as way forward, as the solution or solutions to the conflict. I'll read from the book on how to resolve a conflict, and then we'll have more discussion. So, step 10, and acceptance. If we truly have workable options, then both parties would accept the terms of their new relationship as set out in the merged workable options. We can then fine-tune the joint options to clearly set out who is to do what, when, and what happens if it's not done. So as I said, this is the uh, last step in this 10-step mediation, in the model 10-step mediation that I have contributed to amicable conflict resolution processes with a special focus on mediation, or we should also use for negotiation, or if you like, self-mediation, where the parties talk directly to one another. So as I said, at this stage, this is the last stage, the stage of acceptance. We've helped the parties go through 9 steps. And in the 9th step, the parties were able to accept options that would work for them. And it's because, so the parties were offered the option that appeared workable, that appeared realistic. And if the options are really workable and realistic and are acceptable to the parties, in step 10, the parties formally agree to those workable options. The offer of the options is accepted, is accepted by the parties, by both parties. And of course, it will contain what the parties have to do going forward. It contains their joint options, and it clearly sets out who is to do what, when, and what happens if it is not done. Now, who is to do what, of course, it means the party set out what each party has to do in the resolution agreed. It sets out when the party has to do it, and it talks about what happens if it is not done. Well, I think that's the one that I need to talk about, speak to. What happens if it's not done? Now, this is to prevent future unnecessary conflict. So when we've agreed, well, suppose there are itches in future about how the agreement will be implemented. What should we do? That's what I mean by what happens if what we've agreed is not done. It's part of the agreement. Uh, Preferably, of course, signed agreement, um, if it is possible, for durability, for clarity. Now, while we make provision for what happens if what we've agreed to carry out is not carried out, is to ensure that those itches in implementation are taken care of. So the parties could agree that if there's a problem with implementation, well, we call the mediator, or we have a negotiation to discuss it using, of course, the skills that the mediator would have used to resolve the conflict in the first place. And they could have the two. They could decide, well, if there are itches in implementation, we'll have a negotiation. If we can't reach an agreement, we'll call our mediator back, to help us deal with those itches in implementation. And then the parties would then know what to do if there are challenges with implementation of the agreement in future. So it's pretty straightforward. And that brings us to the end of this 10-step model of conflict resolution. Now, I guess before going, I should explain probably again that I designed the 10 steps because I saw how mediators were struggling to resolve conflict. They were so burdened. I felt they felt they had to be the one to deliver the resolution, to get the parties to yes, to agree. But it is not the mediator's conflict. It is the parties' conflict. And so the pressure, if any, should be on the parties, not on the person helping them to resolve. And so that's why I designed the 10-step mediation. First, to make amicable conflict resolution the sign that it is. If it's a sign, then it must be a system. So there's a system. And because it's a system, you can also explain why you are doing what you are doing at every step in time. Secondly, the 10-step mediation is a checklist. So if you know you are taking these 10 steps, you are able to tick as you carry out each step, you take it until the 10th step is carried out. So, like I said, 10 steps removes the burden, the pressure of dispute resolution, conflict resolution from the mediator. And not that the burden of pressure is transferred to the parties by themselves, but it makes the parties take responsibility, ownership of their conflict and its resolution. But of course, if we take the 10 steps, it's easy also for the parties to carry out that responsibility of resolving their conflict by themselves through the facilitation, through the mediation of their mediator. And because what to do at each stage is clearly set out in the 10-step mediation. And if the mediators help the parties to run through it, or the parties themselves, if they want to use the 10 steps by themselves, if they run through the steps, they will be able to come to something reasonable, most likely to an agreement that will work. Thank you for joining me in this lecture today. And remember to please subscribe to this channel before you leave. And the book itself, text is available in all the Amazon channels. It would be great if you could read. Very importantly for me, I would like you to practice what you are learning. We've learned the 10 steps. Watch it again. try to understand what the 10 steps are, and then apply them to the conflict in your life or in your business or your government or your country, wherever you are, you're at home, your family, um, apply the 10 steps. Why should you do that? Because you improve your skills by practicing the 10 steps on the conflicts that you come across. You improve your skills. You get better and better at effective conflict resolution. And the time will come when they'll be on your fingertips. So you run through a conflict resolution with that seamlessly, because it's become like a good driver, a part of you. You just do it instinctively and automatically. Thanks again. I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture, which is lecture 39. Well,